Quarantine nostalgia.
Remember the height of quarantine when all we did was rot in our bedrooms trying to figure out which TikTok bedroom we'd all sleep in? Those were some good times.
Dude, or playing Minecraft nonstop for like literally 8 hours. Or me sitting there grinding Clash of Clans like it's my life. Like that's all I did was play video games and then sit up, just not pay attention in class.
But if you think about it realistically, those months were probably miserable for most of us. My time in quarantine had me getting legitimately fat, but I speak for the majority when I say we'd all take that any day.
Dude, it was so depressing though. I'm not talking like 2021 quarantine. I mean, it was still annoying. We had to walk around in masks. But you remember like 2020 quarantine where like the only businesses that were open were grocery stores? Like the gym was closed, stores were closed. Places of like bowling alleys, paintball, like anything was closed. Any activity. You couldn't hang out with your friends. Oh my God. And it was like initially when people started hanging out again, you just had that fear in the back of your mind. You're like, you might be sick. Somebody coughs. Oh my God. Right when COVID like started, not ended, but like we were going back to like the norm and somebody would go like you have to like fight that. You have to fight that cough, that tickle in your. You know you're not sick, but you have that tickle in your throat. You're like, dude, if I cough right now, everybody's gonna think I'm infected.
For being a member of society. I don't know if the cause of lockdown was the government plotting from the shadows, a viral leak from some scientific laboratory, or if it really was a Chinese dude eating a bat at the market like some dudes were saying. And I'm obviously not the most qualified person to speak on this because I'm a YouTuber. But man, what I can say is at this point, I'd be willing to sacrifice myself and personally fly all the way to China and eat a few bats of my own if that's what it really takes to bring back the good days. So let's go back 1 week prior to the COVID lockdown on that last day of school.
Dude, I skipped my last day of class in high school. My senior year. Me and my friend went to the gym, and it was the day before our week off, because we had a week off in March. Like, our spring break was weird at my high school. And I was like, fuck it, dude. Like, we're not even going to do anything anyway. Let's just go to the gym. And then I worked at GNC at the time, and after the gym, I went to work. And my boss was like, you hear about this COVID thing? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you really think shit's going to shut down? I was like, I mean, I don't really know. I was like, at the time, 40 people in New Jersey had COVID. Like, no one. I was like, I mean, it does spread. I was like, I'm hoping I get off. I remember saying that. I was like, yeah, I hope I don't have class. That would be nice. Because there was like other states at the time that like started canceling shit. And I remember like part of me was like happy when they canceled for the first week. Because we had a week off for spring break, and then we got an extra week off. Like, it wasn't really like, oh, this is going to be a long-term thing. Y'all remember that? It was like we're going to have a week or two off, and everybody was like, fuck yeah, dude, just another week off school. And then we had the announcement. It was like another week, and I was like, ugh. And then they were like, okay, we're going to be off for the rest of the year. Now we have to do Zoom class. I was like, ugh. And it wouldn't have sucked if everything else was open. It was just like nothing was open and we had Zoom class. It was like the most depressing shit ever.
School before spring break 2020. Lil Uzi had finally dropped Eternal a Take, and everyone was listening with their AirPods in class, waiting for that sweet week off of school. During those days, there was some talk of the coronavirus, but nobody really...
it was like one guy had it. Y'all remember that? Oh my God. It was like, yeah, there was like 2 cases in Washington, and everybody was like shitting themselves. And I was like, bitch, that's across the country. That ain't gonna get to me.
Took it too seriously at this point. We didn't think it was gonna spread over to the United States.
I was like, oh, 2 people have COVID in Washington. I don't give a fuck. Then the entire country gets fucking COVID.
And as students, we didn't really care. The only thing that we wanted to do was not go to school. So once school actually did get off,
bro, but I never even got COVID until like a month ago. Like, I had COVID for the first time in fucking 2023. Like 3 years later.
A second of downtime before.
And I don't even know how I got it. Like, I don't know who gave it to me. I don't know where I got it. I was just like, how the fuck? How did I get COVID?
all hopped on Fortnite with an entire week ahead of us to grind for the golden Ronaldo skin, blissfully ignorant of what was to come. Now, personally, I had actually gotten myself into quite the peculiar situation during week 1 of spring break, because on the first day before any kind of lockdown was announced, I got on a bus and left. So when the lockdown was officially announced, I had to stay at the homie Tony's house for a whole week until I could catch a bus home. And that officially began the first week of lockdown. At this point, it wasn't really thought of as lockdown though. It was seen more like spring break 2. And once people got used to
everybody was happy.
the spring break extension, they went even deeper into the degenerate activity they were on. Dudes went from playing Fortnite all day to living in salty springs, from scrolling TikTok 8 hours at a time to becoming e-girls, from drinking all night to drinking all day. What I'm saying is that 2 weeks off from all responsibilities hit different and gave people way too much free time.
Dude, we were 4 weeks off, and I remember my boss was like, I'm going to have to cut back the hours and only give hours to people that are actively working, like full-time GNC employees, because I was part-time. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then GNC closed. And then I remember texting my boss. I was like, how do I quit? I didn't know how to quit. I was like, how do I quit? Like, what do I do? And they're like, you just got to return the key. I was like, okay, I'm done. And she was like, really? You've only worked here for like 4 months. I was like, yeah. What's GNC? General Nutrition Company. It was a supplement store.
In the case of being bunkered down with Tony, social distancing wasn't really a possibility for us. We just played PS4 and drank smoothies all day, and it was probably the peak of my life. While the world was just starting to burn, me and Tony had an unlimited strawberry supply at his house for the infinite smoothie glitch. But that lifestyle would come to an end quickly. After the week passed, I had to say goodbye to my paradise with the homie Tony. It was time to get on home and have my first day of a lockdown lifestyle.
Bro, I remember, did any of y'all go to the grocery store peak lockdown? God, dude, COVID was so long ago. I remember I pulled up to the grocery store and there were people in fucking hazmat suits. I was like, we're in like fucking World War Z, dude. I was like, this is the fucking apocalypse. There were people that were literally wearing hazmat suits, like a gas mask almost. And they're wearing like trash bags and shit. And meanwhile, I'm just walking around in like a fucking 10-cent COVID mask. And I'm like panicking. Because like people have gloves on and shit. And I like touched a can and I was like, when I went home, I was like scrubbing my hands and shit. I was like fucking freaking out. Because nobody even knew what COVID was like then.
Time week 3 of lockdown rolled around was when people started to realize that this shit was real shit. Because public school had officially gone virtual at this point, and ain't nobody about to do all that. I was dodging these virtual assignments as if they didn't have real world consequences. I was just too deep in the Fortnite grind. I had to get the Ronaldo skin. It wasn't just me though. I don't know a single person who didn't just drop school altogether after attempting their first—
Yeah, I don't even remember the rest of school, honestly. The second half of my senior year, I don't remember. I remember sitting, like, in class in Zoom and just, like, zoning out. Like, I would just sit on my phone. I would sit on my phone or I would fall asleep. Like, I remember my calculus class, I would fall asleep. Like, I would sleep in class. I would still do fine, but, like, we wouldn't really learn much. I would just pass out.
Online assignment. But what really sealed the deal on dropping school was when I shaved my entire head bald, because there's no way I was about to show up in a Zoom call with my monkey—
Bro, that's how I wear it. Dude, that's literally the origin of the TikTok beanie, because I couldn't get a haircut. So my hair started getting so long that I was like, fuck it, I'll just wear a beanie for my videos. And then after, now I rocked the beanie for like 6 months, and then I was like, might as well keep it.
Head ass. So I just opted out of school to avoid the humiliation. This may just be my collective friend group I speak for here, but every guy I knew shaved their heads bald at this point. 3 weeks locked in the bedroom had us on the same mental stability as the Joker. We were all going insane. We saw this as our life's only chance to be bald without social repercussions. But crossing that 2-month line is when we all truly started to deteriorate as humans. There's no easy way for me—
I should have shaved my head head, dude.
To say this next part, but the lack of physical activity had me gaining some weight.
I went bald, really?
Coupled with my new hairstyle, I was unfortunately fat and bald at 18 years old. My sleep schedule was just as bad as my haircut too. I was going to bed at sunrise and waking up at 3 p.m.
Because it didn't matter. Because it didn't matter. There was no reason for you to fucking be up when the sun was out because you weren't leaving your house.
Like Batman. The amount of nights I'd try and pull an all-nighter in an attempt to save my circadian rhythms, only for it to completely backfire and make it worse, is beyond me. And just as my sleep schedule couldn't withstand 2 months of lockdown, my grades could not withstand 2 months of missed assignments. My report card was failing all across the board. But about this time was when the most historic moment of the lockdown happened. The school board started stressing that this year's grade point average was gonna be a 0.2 and had no choice but
0.2? That means everybody is a fucking 0. That's not true.
Pull the plug. So they officially announced that every assignment beyond lockdown didn't count towards final grades. I remember just how joyous this news was to me.
Dude, my class still had regular grades. Did y'all's classes do that? I remember some classes would be pass-fail, but like most, it would still be just regular grades. They just didn't weigh as much. They would move the weight. Like, the first half of the year mattered more than the second.
Considering how everything else in life was falling apart, it hit different to hear some good news for a change. So when the school year eventually ended around month 3, summer break made absolutely no difference on our lives. This is when the weeks really started to blend together and things got bad. That social isolation—
Dude, the summer was so sad. The summer of 2020 was so sad. It was like, you literally did nothing. Literally did nothing.
Was really starting to get to me at this point. Spending every waking moment grinding my life away for Golden Peely was bad for my mental. It got to the point where I now have no memory of even my family during quarantine. I have no clue what the people in my own home were getting up to. The only change I made in my day-to-day was eventually switching from Fortnite to this game called Fishing Planet. And that was—
Fishing Planet?
Definitely a
God, that's when you start playing sim games.
Grade that reflected my mental state. At this point, I felt like I was really starting to fail as a human being. I don't know if anyone else would do this, but after staying indoors all day, I needed to get outside. So every few nights around midnight, I would just walk around dark and empty neighborhoods by myself. Those late night walks all alone through empty neighborhoods in an attempt to get outside started to hit deep. So I decided to get myself a job for the summer. So after doing a bit of searching, I eventually found a car wash that would take me. I worked there for a solid week or two before I just stopped showing up. I didn't last very long re-entering the real world. My time indoors had my mental discipline deteriorated. Coupled with the fact that I was still fat, I was working outdoors in the Arizona summer sun, and the whole time I had to wear a mask, it just wasn't something I could do. The only thing that got me through those shifts was watching Avatar on my lunch breaks because Netflix had just added the show. But Ninye, you only didn't enjoy quarantine because you spent your time poorly. That is true. Most of us spent quarantine rotting and probably didn't do shit.
Yeah, but we could have done cool shit. That is true. Even if nothing's open, there's still a million things that you could fucking do. Or self-improvement type stuff. Could have read books. Ugh.
And out hustling. If I went back, I probably would have read a book or two. Get my intelligence up, you know? Maybe I wouldn't be so stupid if I did that. If there was a tier list for things to do—
What's a book? Great question, dude.
In quarantine, gaming all night would probably be a C. Eating terribly like I did would be an F, because being unhealthy like Rick Ross like that is just a terrible feeling. And not exercising would probably also be an F, because it's just gonna get me built like Rick Ross even quicker. But it is what it is. And now that I say it all out loud, I don't think I particularly missed the COVID lockdown. The next few months that followed weren't all that different from the last few that already weren't that great. It's like looking back on it, all the pain—
When do y'all think like the lockdown era ended? Dude, all of my freshman year in college was lockdown. The entirety of my freshman year. I did not have one class on campus my entire freshman year of college. Dude, even like midway through, I would say late 2021. The start of the 2021-2022 year. Because we still wore masks, but it was like everyone went in person. So it was like still lockdown. It wasn't lockdown. It was COVID, but it wasn't lockdown. Like the start of my like when I started dating Brooke, like October of 2021.
In misery just despawns from our memories, and all that remains is how we had nothing to do. It's easy to compare any kind of work we have to do now to the whole lot of nothing we had to do then and wish for it to come back, but that life is just not.
You found it? Oh my god, did you really? This is me taking my AP test. Oh, and I got a 3.
AP test starts in 6 minutes.
I didn't study at all!
God, I sound so much younger. And I look so much younger. Look at me, dude. I got a fucking baby face. Well, this is me when I was 18.
AP test starts in 6 minutes.
I didn't study at all! I didn't do anything! I don't know anything, bro. I haven't learned anything since quarantine
God, my hair is brutal.
started. I'm going to get a 1. Remember the times we had? The times that you...
God, I fucking hate myself, dude. Ugh. And that video did well. And I was happy about
Remember the times we
I
had?
was happy about getting a 3.
Sustainable. And also millions of people died because of COVID, so that's also a
Yeah, which is also ass.
downside to consider.
Dude, I remember hospitals were overrun and shit. That was the end of the video. Dude, that was like crazy. COVID just seems like a fever dream. Anyways, chat, we're gonna call that there.